Hello. Today I just wanted to make a video about my freshman experience at UCSB. So during my freshman year, I took the General Chemistry Series, which is Chemistry 1 through A. And it's a pretty hard first course series, I thought. The class is structured basically 2 midterms, 2 quizzes, a final, and ALEX. So 2 midterms are pretty much your standard multiple choice exams. You buy this thing called Scantron. I think in my high school, they used to give them out free, but in college, you have to actually go and buy these like Scantrons, these red Scantrons to take your exam on. The quizzes are pretty much shortened forms of the midterms, and then the final is, obviously a final. And all of them are taken on Scantrons. And finally, you do this homework kind of application called ALEX. It's pretty well known throughout the entire General Chemistry series. It's pretty much just homework. You do it for a certain percentage of your grade, and if you just do it consistently, it's pretty easy to get 100%. In my opinion, the course was really structured around doing a lot of book problems and also doing the practice tests that they gave out. And I went to CLAS tutoring a lot for help, and CLAS is just kind of, I don't know if I explained it in my other video, but CLAS is just like personalized tutoring. You go to these sessions and you get retaught the material again, and you can even go to drop-in hours where you can ask individual questions about the material that you were just taught. And I thought I did okay in this course. I think I got a B plus, a B, and a B, respectively, in Chemistry 1A, 1B, and 1C. But I was definitely really discouraged because this subject matter wasn't really what I envisioned it would be, right? I came in as a pre-bio major, but here I am struggling with general chemistry, right? Is general bio, is this something for me? I was really, really discouraged throughout the entire general chemistry series. But don't worry, because it gets a lot better in introductory bio when you start actually learning about the bio, and you can stop thinking about molecular orbitals and moles and all that stuff. In terms of the exams, there were multiple choice exams, and there was really little room for error. If you miss about like 2-3 problems, you're already down to a B. And these exams, it's like 50 minutes, and it's very calculation heavy. And so it really helps to have done the book problems, which I really didn't do enough. I kind of just did the practice problems and maybe some of the book problems, but when it comes to the exam time, you have 50 minutes to do a pretty calculation heavy test, and because of that, I didn't really do so well. But I heard that if you have experience with AP chemistry, it does go a lot better for you. And also, in addition to the general chemistry series, you have to take the labs associated with the general chemistry series. And so these are pretty much just once a week labs. They begin with the lab quiz that varies based on your TA. And the hardness of the quiz is based on your TA too. Some TAs might give really hard quizzes. Some TAs might give really easy quizzes. It doesn't matter, because you're curved according to your section, which pretty much means that, if your whole entire section, which is the people you do your lab with, all do bad, then you're curved according to that. There's not like a class-wide curve. So it kind of makes it a lot more easier or a lot more fair, because if you get a hard TA, then you might have a harder time getting an easier TA might give you easier time. So it's just curved according to your section. And personally, I dreaded labs because I didn't really like the general chemistry science in general. It's a lot of titrations, a lot of just kind of stuff that didn't really interest me that much. I was a lot more biology focused. I really liked the biology part more, but the general chemistry part, I didn't really like. And your lab partner choice, really importantly, because this is the person that you're going to be working with through the entire quarter. And just a reminder, the general chemistry series is for the entire, your fall, your winter, your spring quarter. And each quarter you choose a different lab partner pretty much. And the lab partner is essentially chosen right when you walk through the door and you sit down in a seat. And if you don't know anybody, you just sit down in a random seat, and the person who randomly sits beside you, that's your lab partner. So if you happen to have a, bad lab partner or a good lab partner, or if you want to control for that, you should probably be in the same lab section with your friends, because you don't know. It's like the luck of the draw how good your lab partner is. And also, very importantly, you have to make sure you utilize your office hours that your TAs have. this is something I didn't really do that often, but I really learned towards the end when I started taking other lab courses besides general chemistry lab. The TAs, most of them, or I'd say probably all of them, are there to help you. And it doesn't hurt to get to know your TA better. For example, you can go to your TAs when you don't know how to word something, or maybe you want your TA to look over your lab report to see if you're missing anything, or if you want to ask your TA for help on like a problem. It doesn't really hurt to go to them, because in the end, they're going to be the one that's grading your stuff. So, if you get feedback from the people that are grading your stuff, obviously you're going to get a good grade, right? And that's what we want when we're doing this pre-med field. We want to get good grades because it helps a lot for medical school admissions when you get good grades. And overall, right, the general chemistry series was a very problems-based class. If you don't keep up with the work, you're not going to do well. And I think that's kind of that's the mistake I made. I didn't really keep up with the work that much. I was a lot more focused on the party environment at UCSB, obviously, because I was a freshman, right? I wanted to get out of my bubble and experience something different, but I sort of neglected my studies, and that really showed in my GPA. And also, in your freshman year, you might also you can take up various like paths for what you also want to complete coinciding with general chemistry. Some people choose to complete the introductory bio course. You can actually take chemistry with biology. It's not really commonly done in this school, though it's commonly done in other schools. But if you have taken AP biology and you scored at least a 4 or 5, you can actually take MCDB 1A, or the introductory bio course, alongside Chem 1A. Alternatively, a lot of people actually take physics alongside Chem 1A. That's commonly done by the pre-meds at UCSB. I chose to do math. I chose to finish my math because med schools, they require that you take at least 1 year of university mathematics. And I did PSTAT 5A, which is just basic introductory statistics, Math 4A, which is linear algebra, and Math 4B, which is differential equations. The only really important one was PSTAT 5A. Those concepts, the statistics, they come back to haunt you later once you're in your upper division biology courses, like stuff like p-values and t-tests. They really, you should really listen to that, and you should also really try to get a good grade in that. But if you have already taken AP Calculus A, B, or BC, please don't make the same mistake that I did. I've already taken those courses, so I thought, oh, maybe I should, because I need to take a year of math, I should take Math 4A and Math 4B and do math that I don't need to do. Actually, what I could have done is I could have just taken Math 3A and Math 3B, which are Calculus 1 and Calculus 2. I could have just taken those together as, I could have just taken those as study list credit. And study list credit is pretty much you take a course that's worth no credit, but the grade still shows up on your transcript. And this grade still matters, right? Even though it has no credit in university, the grade still matters for medical schools. It's still counted towards your science GPA. By doing this, technically, you should be getting a free A, right? Because you already know the course material. So if you take an AP Calculus, AB and BC, or BC, don't do more math than you need to. Just retake calculus in college, and just in order to get your full year of mathematics. Don't make the same mistake that I did. I suffered. Please don't make that mistake again. And my experience with math courses here is CLAS is still very, very useful. It is a problem-based course, and having individualized help and having things re-explained to you, and also doing a lot of problems will generally help you succeed in math. That being said, the math department at UCSB, it's not really the most helpful department. I also don't think they teach it that well, but that's just my opinion. But if you've already learned the calculus, right, it shouldn't be all that hard. Okay, another thing I want to talk about are dorms. At UCSB, I lived in Anacapa, which is one of the Chi 5 dorms. The Chi 5 being Anacapa, Santa Cruz, San Nicolas, San Miguel, and Santa Rosa. Those are the 5 dorms that are actually just located right on campus. And Anacapa is located by the ocean, and its location is actually close to Chem 1179, which is the building that you're going to be taking your general chemistry series. And so it's actually a pretty nice, like, 2 to 3 minute walk from your dorm to to where you're going to be taking your classes. So I thought that was really great. If you end up living in FT, then it's a good 10-minute bike ride there. So if you want leisure, you should probably take Anacapa. I lived in the triple, so it was pretty tight, and I wouldn't recommend it. If you can go with the double, and if you can afford it, I would go with the double. The triple ended up being really tight. One person has to actually share closet space with another person, so that would be kind of annoying. And also about roommates, you know, roommates may or may not become your best friends. My roommates, I don't really talk to my roommates anymore, not because I hate them, but because there's just no reason to. So, when you're choosing roommates, yeah, it might be somewhat important to choose like right roommates that kind of fit with you in terms of your living style. But don't get hung up if they don't become your friends. You have many opportunities throughout your 4 years to make friends. Most of my great friends were made in my junior year and my senior year, not really in my freshman or sophomore year. And in terms of the bottom bunking, objectively for me was the best. But if your roommates get drunk or people start hanging out in your room, that's where they're going to end up. And if they get drunk and they come back to your room, that's where they might sleep. So you might actually end up sleeping in the floor lounge. I've done that before once. It's not really that fun, but that's just something to consider if you do get the bottom bunk. And in terms of the bathroom, it's a shared bathroom with the whole entire floor. I really recommend bringing a shower cubby to hold all your stuff when you're going to take a shower. I really recommend this because I pretty much, the whole entire year I was living as a freshman, I had to wrap everything in a towel and bring it there. It was just really kind of disorganized. Bringing a shower cubby, it makes it a lot easier. And also the laundry, it's coin operated, but it also takes Apple Pay, and pretty much everything around the school takes Apple Pay. The vending machines take Apple Pay. Anything that has like a payment, kind of like credit card swiper, they all take Apple Pay. So it's pretty useful. Apple Pay is a pretty useful thing. So, just keep that in mind. And in terms of getting involved early, there's this thing called Hall Council. This is in every single living in Anacapa and all the Chi 5 and in all the living quarters. They all have this thing called Hall Council. It's a good way to get involved early. There are elections for various positions that occur in the beginning and fall quarter. So you get like a president, vice president, treasurer, all that jazz. So if you want to get involved early, Hall Council is the best way to get involved. And there are also non-elected positions too. When I was in Hall Council, I worked at a non-elected position, and it was a really good introduction to leadership. Because as a freshman, it's kind of hard to get leadership because you're pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole. So Hall Council was a pretty good way to get leadership for me. And being in the residence halls also allows you to become a front desk assistant. And one of my regrets was that I didn't become a front desk assistant. So being a front desk assistant is pretty much you work at the front desk of the residence halls. And it's a pretty good job. I recommend that if you need money and you want to meet cool people, you work as a front desk assistant, because you get to meet a lot of cool people and you get to make a lot of cool friends as a front desk assistant. You pretty much just sit. I was never one, but from what I saw, you pretty much just sit and just do some clerical tasks, and you can do your homework on your downtime. And that's pretty key. In college, if you need a job, make sure to find the jobs that you can do homework on your downtime. Another one of those jobs that you can is actually working as a AS front office assistant, but really kind of like any kind of office assistant job in university, you can work on your homework. So keep that in mind. But really, the front desk assistant, they announce it pretty much in the beginning of fall quarter. Make sure to go to that meeting and make sure to apply, because I guarantee you won't regret becoming a front desk assistant. And just for my Asians, but not just Asians really, I recommend living in the API floor, which is the Asian Pacific Islander floor. Even though I chose to live on a different floor, I actually lived on the floor that was beneath the API floor. I ended up hanging out in the API floor a lot, and I really should have. If I went back, I really should have just chosen the API floor instead of the floor that I lived on, since there's just more similar people to me there, right? I came from a mostly Asian high school, Asian middle school. So those are the people. I don't know. It just feels like people naturally gravitate to the people that they are most similar with, and it's just a lot easier for you to be in the API floor and get a group of core friends first, and then maybe if you want to branch out to other floors, you can. But you always have that you have that shared experience, and that makes acclimating to college a lot easier. You have people who came from the same background as you, so you can understand them a little bit better. And it takes like the variable of it doesn't completely take the variable of friend making out of the equation, but it does make it a lot easier to make friends. And the great thing about that floor is actually it's the most beachside view. So, if that's something that appeals to you, definitely consider choosing that floor. Um, Anacapa in general is by the ocean, as well as Santa Cruz. So if you really want that beachside view, pick those two dorms. They're super close to the ocean, but everything in the Chi 5 is really, really close to the ocean. But those two are like really close in terms of walking distance to the ocean. Okay, and then finally, the mistakes that I thought I made in freshman year. Definitely the biggest mistake that I made was not studying enough. Especially for the general chemistry series and the math series, I thought I could really get by without studying that much, kind of in high school. But college classes are a lot harder. They are a lot harder, especially compounded with the fact that this is the quarter system, which means you get 10 weeks. So midterms are like week 3 and then week 7. And in Gen Chem, right, you're going to have quizzes too. So those are like week 1 and week 5. You pretty much have exams every 2 weeks. And if you take it with other classes, you're going to have midterms every 3 weeks, maybe even every week. And it's really important that you get your studying in. It's your freshman year. You want to go party and do a lot of other fun stuff, but make sure you get your studying in because it's a. I did okay during my freshman year. I thought I could have done better, but my GPA was still salvageable to the point that I could bring it up my later years. However, if you do really poorly your freshman year, it's a lot more of an upward climb to get your GPA to a point where it's competitive, right? And so when I'm talking about competitive, right, I'm talking like 3.7, 3.8, that kind of range. So really think about the amount you're studying because don't come into college thinking that it's going to be the same as high school. It's going to be definitely Gen Chem. It's your rude introduction into how hard college classes could be. And honestly, looking back, the material in general chemistry wasn't even that hard. If I had just practiced more, it would have been a lot easier for me to do well. I just didn't practice as much, and so my grades suffered my freshman year. And also the second thing is worrying about extracurriculars and in general just comparing yourself to other people. In your class, you're going to have certain people who just naturally are just more, get go and will have like, maybe they'll have like opportunities literally in your freshman year, first quarter. Well, you might not even have any opportunities. Don't really worry about that. I didn't have a single medical volunteering my entire freshman year. I think the most important thing about freshman year is really focusing on your grades, focusing on your study habits, because those are the habits that are going to carry with you to the rest of your entire 4 years. The habits that I made freshman year were the habits that I kind of kept towards my other 4 years. So if your grades aren't good, don't even think about the extracurriculars. Make sure you just focus on your grades. Don't overload yourself with like extracurriculars, or don't like worry yourself constantly about, oh, I have to find this medical volunteering, or I have to find this or find that. Focus on your grades, because that's the thing that you can't really change. Once you take a course and you finish it, you can't exactly go back and get a better grade on that course anymore. Unless you fail it, but if you fail it, you got a D, and then that D is on your record forever. And that's not exactly that good. But if you get like a B or C, you can't really erase that. You have to just accept it and move on. Rather than doing that, you should just focus and get a good grade the first time around. You can get those volunteering and stuff later on. Like either you can take a gap year, which is increasingly becoming popular with a lot of pre-med students taking a gap year to gain experience, or you can worry about that stuff once you're in your 3rd or 4th year. Either way, those volunteerings and extracurriculars, they can wait, but your GPA really can't wait for you. So I say worry about your GPA first and think about all the other stuff after. And yes, Oh, yes, another thing I want to talk about. Last thing is friends. Um, when you come into college, everybody will want to make friends, and you might not feel like you found your friend group in your freshman year or even your sophomore year, and that's really common. I didn't find really a core friend group until my junior year, senior year, somewhere around that year. Um, it's really common because, like, you know, people generally want to make friends and people are really open to making friends, but, sometimes you just don't vibe with the people that you're friends with. You know, don't worry really about making friends. They'll naturally just, I think they'll naturally just come to you as you go about college and as you're studying and as you get involved in clubs and extracurriculars. As long as you put in the effort to get involved in these clubs and extracurriculars, you're eventually going to find a friend group. Um, but yeah, it is tough. Friend making is tough in college. It's a combination of luck and timing, but eventually you'll make friends, and eventually you'll have a really good time, just like I think I did in college. So thank you for watching this video. If you want me to make a video about my sophomore year experiences, because in my sophomore year, that's when I started taking organic chemistry and all those other kind of scarier courses that are often talked about pre-meds, give me a like and leave a comment. All right, thank you.